The NBA season is finally here. After a long offseason with a lot of different things going on in this offseason. We had the Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving saga. We had the Phoenix Suns saga. LeBron James is going into year 20. Anthony Davis is finally healthy. Russell Westbrook, it looks like he might be coming off the bench. Kawhi Leonard, who I'm excited to see this season, is in full strength and he's ready to play. John Wall is in full strength and he's ready to play. And one of the greatest NBA prospects ever, teams will be tanking for Victor Wembanyama. And of course, we cannot forget about the Golden State Warriors and that punch Draymond threw at Jordan Poole. And a lot of other things happened this offseason as well. But I'm excited for the 22-23 NBA season. So today's episode, we are just going to give a few predictions. Coach of the Year, Most Improved, MVP, Sixth Man of the Year, the top teams in the East and the West, and who will be the NBA champion this season. So welcome to the Daily Thinker podcast, where we talk about theology and basketball. Today, we'll just be talking about the 2022-2023 NBA season. And I'm excited for this season. There's so many different storylines going into this season. One storyline that I'm excited about, and I'm not even a Clipper fan, is Kawhi Leonard finally being healthy to play. And they just have a lot of great pieces around them. They have shooters. Of course, they're lacking when it comes to having a big man and John Wall, a point guard that, has always been one of my favorite point guards. He's finally healthy, and he will be back in action this season for the Clippers. And, of course, LeBron James, who is chasing, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's going to get top 10 in assists this season. And as well, he can take over the number one spot for points all time in NBA history. Kevin Durant, how will this work out with the Brooklyn Nets? The Phoenix Suns, is that organization done with and through with? Giannis, can Giannis make it back to the NBA Finals? And Golden State, can they stay afloat after all this saga that's going on in their organization with their Draymond Green punch? But it seems like they put that behind them and they move forward. But first, I want to get here. The coach of the year. The coach of the year for the 22-23 NBA season will be Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers, in my opinion, will be the coach of the year this season. And the reason why is because James Harden, he say he lost 100 pounds. I don't know if that's cap or he's lying or not. I don't think he lost 100 pounds. But James Harden is healthy. Joel Embiid is a top 5 player. Tyreke Maxey, he's coming into like a guy of his own. You have a solid big three there, Tobias Harris, and then you added PJ Tucker and Montrezl Harrell. So maybe this team can push in the East to have a top seed, a top 1 or 2 seed, because I know teams like the Brooklyn Nets and the Bucks probably won't care about that top seed or that, that 1 or 2. Kevin Durant, like, okay, just give me any seed, I'll be able to compete. And of course, we have the Bucks. Giannis probably feels the same way as well. But I had a tough decision here. I was thinking like, okay, the Cavaliers, they brought in Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell is a guy, in my opinion, that always get disrespected. He went to the Utah Jazz. Nobody thought Utah was going to contend or be in the playoffs or anything after Gordon Hayward left. They were basically in rebuild mode. In his first year, he went to the playoffs and beat Russell Westbrook and Paul George in the first round. So you plug him in this Cavs system with Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and a couple decent wing defenders that they already have, and Kevin Love, who would come off the bench, give you a good, 12 points with 6 rebounds per game. I can see this team being a top 3 seed and potentially JB Bickerstaff winning coach of the year. But I went with Doc Rivers. Just because you have Embiid, who is a top 5 player, and you have James Harden, when he's at his top, he's a top 5 player. You can argue that for sure he's a top 10 player when he at his best. No, I'm going to just say at his best, he's a top 5 player for sure. At his best, top 5 player. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's something that I'm excited to see when it comes to the 76ers. And I got Doc Rivers winning the coach of the year. Now, 2. The rookie of the year. The rookie of the year, I think it's pretty easy. Pablo Banchero. Just watching the preseason. The dude, he looks good already on the court. He's fluid. He can shoot the three. He's confident on the court. And the dude is extremely strong. He's a strong guy on the basketball court. So as a rookie, Orlando Magic, of course, this franchise is in his hands. He's going to have free reign to do whatever he wants on the basketball court. So I got him winning Rookie of the Year. And plus just all these offseason games and, leagues that they play in, all these summer leagues they played in. He looks like he looks like he will be a great NBA player. Just the frame, body size, skills. He can shoot the three. I'm not saying he will shoot it at 38 or 37 or even 36 clip. I know he won't shoot for 40 for sure, but he can shoot that three with confidence. He got the mid range and he's strong enough to get to the basket. And we know that this team will just focus, will be focused around him. They're going to tailor this team to fit his playing style. So I see him winning Rookie of the Year. Now, who is my defensive player of the year? My defensive player of the year this season, I will have to give it to Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has a point to prove. He's been hurt way too long. After 2020, we have not seen the AD that we have been expecting. 21, we didn't see it. 22, we didn't see it. He barely played. Now you're coming into this season, he has to be a defensive force for the Lakers to compete even a little bit. Even a little bit, he has to be a defensive force. So I see Anthony Davis stepping in to that defensive position for the Lakers, being an anchor for their defense and winning the defensive player of the year, because he needs to go for something. He needs to go for something. I don't know what it is, because after 2020, we have not seen the same AD. So I think AD probably has a goal to win defensive player of the year. Now, in my opinion, I wish he had a goal to win MVP, because if Anthony Davis is an MVP, I see the Lakers going to the NBA Finals. But that's a different story for a different day. Now, who are my top four teams in the East? The top four teams in the East are the Bucks, the 76ers, the Nets, and the Cavs. And I don't have this in order, but I believe these will be the top four teams. And I know I left off the Miami Heat. The reason I left off the Miami Heat, they made no improvements this offseason. No improvements at all. They are staying stagnant. In my opinion, just give Tyler Herro that starting shooting guard role and just work on that starting five and make sure they're ready for the playoffs. But I don't see the Miami Heat being a top four seed this year, because they didn't improve at all. You lost PJ Tucker and you didn't really add nobody else who can really give you what PJ gave you last season. We saw what he did in the playoffs. We saw how you fought, literally helping the team out and hitting big corner threes as well. But Victor Oladipo, he's 100% healthy, so maybe he'll be able to fill in that gap that PJ Tucker left. But you have my top four teams, the Bucks. We know about the Bucks. We know what they represent. Chris Middleton, if he wasn't hurt, this is my opinion that the Bucks would have been the NBA champions last season. I think they go into Golden State and I think they win. I think nobody's able to stop Giannis, and Middleton is there to help, and Drew Holiday is a great defender. Bobby Portis can knock down the three. Brook Lopez is a big body who can knock down the three. So I had them winning the NBA Finals, but Chris Middleton, he went out. You can't do nothing about that. But if he's Chris Middleton healthy this season, healthy Drew Holiday, Giannis, we know what Giannis is going to give and his production. He's going to be at an all-time high as he is every single season. So I'm not going to be surprised at all for the Bucks being a top four seed. Now, the Brooklyn Nets is a little shaky because of the relationship. We know that Kevin Durant requested a trade and said, hey, I want out. I want out, dog. I don't want to be a part of this. Get the GM and the coach out. Like, dog. I never ever in my life seen that before. Somebody say, get the GM and the coach out. Like, I don't want to either. And I know these are reports, but Kevin Durant never denied that. But they moving on past that. And I think that this relationship between the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, it can get fixed. They have the best roster on paper. They literally have the best roster on paper. You have Kyrie Irving, you have Ben Simmons, who I think will be a force this season. And he can potentially win Most Improved Player of the Year by having an amazing season this year. I can see that happening. Kevin Durant has a point to prove. I believe he has a point to prove. Golden State won the championship last season. We heard the talk all year. Everybody disrespecting Kevin Durant. He's not a legend. He's not this. He's not that. Of course, he joined the Golden State Warriors to win 2 easy championships. So Kevin Durant doesn't get the respect that he deserves. So this season, I just think that Kevin Durant will go into this season with a mindset that, hey, of course, I'm going to get buckets, but I'm going to win. I'm going to compete, and I'm going for a NBA championship. I see that happening for Kevin Durant, and I see that happening for Kyrie Irving. If he can just stay the course and focus, they can be a top 3 seed because they have him, Seth Curry, Joe Harris, Ben Simmons, Claxton. It's a lot of different pieces. Royce O'Neal. Like, they have the best roster on paper in the East. And you can argue in the league, to be honest. If we really are being honest right now, they might have the best roster in the league. And now move on to the Cavs. The Cavs will be a top 4 seed in the East. I see that happening. Donovan Mitchell, as I said before, when he was with the Utah Jazz, everybody thought the Utah Jazz would be tanking. They wouldn't be able to survive. They wouldn't make it. But look at the Utah Jazz when Donovan Mitchell was there. Playoffs every single year. And I think this Cavs team is better than any team that Donovan Mitchell played on. And, of course, he played in the West. Now, I know that team was fitted and molded around him. He had the ball in his hand most of the time. But even when Ricky Rubio was there, they meshed greatly. And I know Rubio was pass first. Garland, he liked to score a little bit, but he can dish the ball. So you have Garland, you have Donovan Mitchell, and you have Jared Allen, and let me not forget Evan Mobley. So you have 3 guys who can legit make an all-star team this season. Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell. All 3 of these players can make the all-star team. And let me not forget potentially 4 in Jared Allen. So I see this team being a top 4 seed. And finally, I have the 76ers. Now, I did not include the Boston Celtics, maybe because the Ime Udoka situation. I don't know how that team would handle that. I don't know what it's going to look like going into this season for the Boston Celtics. So I have to put the 76ers as a top 4 seed. Healthy James Harden, Tobias Harris, who I think needs to step up a lot. And Joel Embiid has something to prove, and he's going for that MVP this season, after not getting it last season when Yoke got it. So I know he's sitting back and asking himself, like, I want to be the best player in the NBA this season. And you have James Harden playing at a top 5 or a top 10 level, top 1 level at his position. This team would easily make the top 4 in the East. Now to the West, I have Golden State, the Clippers, Denver Nuggets, and the Dallas Mavericks. And the West, to me, is not that tough. It's not that tough, to be honest. It's really not. Golden State, we know what they represent. Stephen Curry, all those guys, we know what they represent. We know if they'll be in a top 4 seed, potentially 1 or 2. And now you have the Dallas Mavericks, who I think will be a 4th seed, a top 4 seed, because Luka showed us last season how they beat the Phoenix Suns in the playoffs, and he's gotten into great shape. He played in the World Cup this year. He played great. He's coming back in this season, and he has something to prove. And I think Luka will shock us this season. He already shocked us enough last season by beating the Phoenix Suns in 7 games. Like, that was a huge shock to me and to a lot of different people. So you got that, and plus Christian Wood as a great addition to that team. Because space the floor out more for Luka, to operate, to get inside the paint and to kick out. Luka is an amazing passer. He can make things happen, amazing playmaker. He can cause things to happen when he's on the basketball court. So you plug in Christian Wood, and you have him at the top of the key or in the corner, ready to shoot that 3 ball. Now, I know it's some speculation talking about he might be coming off the bench because JaVale McGee will be the starting center. I don't know how true that is, but anyway, you add Christian Wood to that roster that's already good and solid. You lose Jalen Brunson. I know that's a loss, but I still think Luka is so good he will elevate this team to a top 4 seed easily. And lastly, the Clippers. The Clippers have a great team as well. The Clippers are so iffy. Okay, so iffy. It's all about health for the Clippers for them to be a top 4 seed. Kawhi, Paul George, health, John Wall, health. But the main guy is Kawhi Leonard. If Kawhi Leonard stays healthy, this roster has knocked down three-point shooters. Luka Kennard, and of course, Kawhi Leonard can shoot the three at a good clip. Paul George, when he's hot. Robert Covington. Of course, you have John Wall, who is your point guard. He might come off the bench. We don't know yet. And you have Reggie Jackson as well. So you have two guards who can make things happen, get into the paint, get into the teeth of a defense, score in the paint, and Reggie Jackson can hit the three at like a 34-35% clip. So this will be a good Clippers team if it's a big emphasis on if they can stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, it might be gold for them at the end of the tunnel. I'm talking about an NBA championship. Who do I have as my MVP this season? It's Luka Doncic, because we know that he took a huge leap last season, beating the Phoenix Suns in 7 games, the top rated 60+ win Phoenix Suns, getting his body right this offseason. Coming into this season, you have a center in Christian Wood who can shoot the three. Now you can space the floor even more for Luka to operate. And we know that numbers are inflated during the regular season. So Luka has the potential to average 30, 31, 7, and 8. And be a top 4 seed in the West. So I see Luka Doncic winning the MVP. I was going to give it to Joel Embiid, but I think James Harden will have such a great season that he will X Embiid out. He will cancel Embiid out. So I have Luka Doncic as the MVP coming into the 2022-2023 NBA season. Who do I got in the Western Conference Finals? I have Golden State and the Clippers. And in the East, I have Brooklyn Nets and the 76ers. These matchups are the matchups I think will happen in the conference finals. With Golden State and the Clippers, I have Golden State beating the Clippers in the least 6 games. And out in the East, I have the Brooklyn Nets beating the 76ers, going to the NBA finals, and beating the Golden State Warriors in the NBA finals. But this is a huge but when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not sure how this will work out because Kevin Durant, requested Steve Nash and the GM to be gone, and I don't know if Kyrie will be healthy. So this is all it's pending right now. I'm not really sure if that will happen with their Brooklyn Nets. But if everything goes right, they're healthy, they're playing the games that they need to play, they're playing all the games, I can see this team easily going to the NBA Finals and having the potential to win.